So you've got this amazing ability that allows you to teleport wherever you want. And so you have Reaper teleport, basically. And by basically, I mean exactly. And then you have the Kyrian guy. Hey, you want one? No? Okay.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do something Blizzard asked us specifically not to do.
Okay.
Please no hate.
It wouldn't be the first time, would it be, Preach? I guess maybe he got another experience potion.
A few times now in direct interviews, Blizzard has asked us not to look at the Covenant abilities until they roll out their entire package of what the final characters are going to look like in the Shadowlands. Unlike previous expansions,
This is so fucking stupid, dude.
Blizzard had had to layer new systems on top of old systems in order to, one, correct the problems of the older systems, and two, allow them to grow characters in a new way. Instead, in Shadowlands, they're going to put them all in at the beginning. You've probably heard phrases like tuning knobs, and this is exactly what they're about. At the launch of the Shadowlands, your character is going to look like this. You're going to level through the zones, and along the way, you're going to try out all the different covenants while you reach level 60.
That is cool.
However,
I like that.
You'll be able to choose a covenant straight away. Your first time through, though, once you hit level 60, you're going to be asked to choose and commit your character to a covenant. Now, you can change covenants. You can move from one to another if you feel like you made the wrong choice. However, going
not bald
back
anymore?
to a covenant you've
Wait,
already been a part of, that's going to be something Blizzard doesn't really want you to do. And they're going to make it difficult to do so. It can be.
I think the idea is like you can leave the covenants easily, but you can't rejoin them. So like if you rejoin, like after you leave a covenant, you can't come back, which is like, I don't know, man. This is, as I said, this system is very, very suspicious to me.
Be done, but it's going to be difficult to do so.
Yeah.
Once you've committed to a covenant, you're then going to be offered soulbinds. These are going to be thematic NPC characters that come with them their own tech tree that's going to benefit you directly. You can see a really great preview of these on the Wowhead website. They have a soulbind calculator, so you get an idea.
Yeah, this is the thing that they showed on BlizzCon.
Day, he confirmed that they're pretty much exactly what's going to be in the game, so you can get a good idea of that. The difference here is the soulbinds are flexible. You're going to be able to choose one, do some leveling in them. They look a bit like a mini artifact weapon. Not like that guy, or perhaps you want to work on something else, and swap freely to a
mounted movement speed. That's fucking badass.
soulbind
Fuck yeah.
within that covenant. On top of that, we've then got the conduit system, which are essentially a combination of gems and relics.
So the soulbinds are pretty much like a talent tree then. I wonder if you're going to be able to fill the entire thing out, or you're only going to be able to get certain parts of them.
From Legion.
Yeah, what
These
the
are going
fuck?
to be things that you can slot into soulbinds that you're going to be able to pick and choose from wherever they are gathered from, and then add extra powers. Again, we do know that the ones that have been data mined, which are very, very few right now, are pretty accurate to the kind of things that are going to be in there. The final cherry on this character cake is going to be the crafted legendary system. That's right. You're going to unlock recipes, which should be account-wide, and then using the resources gathered from doing Torghast, build legendaries to finally put the stamp on your character. And as you step into that raid on day one, whenever the raid or the new season releases, or the first arenas you're going to do, you should have a fully done soulbind, a covenant chosen, conduits filled, and the first legendary. That's what your character is going to look like, and ideally, Blizzard's hoping that by the end of the expansion, by patch 9.3, those four systems will all still be in place with no extra cake put on top of it afterwards. So that's your entire package of a character.
I don't
so why
know,
are we
guys.
talking about this now? There's obviously a lot more to come, and Blizzard has asked us not to talk about this. Well, this is how we approached it, and I have to admit, our team was a little reluctant about putting this out, as we could be completely wrong. But honestly, I'm okay with that. At worst, I've wasted my time by looking into this as thoroughly as we have, and believe me, this represents literally hundreds of hours of playtesting in order to arrive where we are today, as well as taking input from many players from some of the best guilds in the world as to what they're finding while they're playing the game. This is something that we're all pretty concerned about. My reasoning is this. If we're looking at Blizzard building this essentially a house of systems in order to complete a player, if you see that potentially there are cracks in the foundation, I think it's wrong to wait until the roof comes on before you point out that maybe the foundation is wrong.
Fucking duh. fucking dud, dude. Like, I don't know why people aren't understanding this. Of course people want to complain about it and talk about it as early as possible. The earlier that people talk about it, the earlier that Blizzard can fix it. And the earlier people ask, like, hey, we don't like this, the higher the chances that Blizzard can course correct and do something that the players actually want. It seems like the Covenant system is at best going to be, you know, like another talent tree and like basically a new artifact weapon, and at worst just another contrived system that players have to play a certain way around. So I'm very I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about this.
We also do not know how long
Let's see,
it's
in the
going
alpha?
to take
Yeah, I
Blizzard
think so.
in order to roll out all these different systems. So as I say, we could be waiting months, and they do want to get Shadowlands out this year. Perhaps it will be too late to correct this initial problem, and they have to do stuff after the fact. And the really last thing we want is Blizzard having to toy around with Covenants after the game comes out, which is something we've seen with Azerite armor and essentially every single system that they've ever implemented into the game.
Every system never implemented into the game. McConnell, what do you think about Covenants?
They're gonna fuck them up.
Why do you think they're gonna fuck them up?
Because we are this late into the fucking alpha cycle, and they still have not done anything with Retribution Aura. It's still in the fucking game. Unreal. Unfucking real. Dumb development. Stupid.
What's wrong with Retribution Aura?
So many things. So many things. So first of all, here's okay. Dude, okay, here's what they did. They took two passives that we already have, okay? Which is the one that makes you go faster as a paladin, Heart of the Crusader. And they took Retribution, which is when a party member or raid member dies or whatever,
you gain damage.
You gain damage, and let's not forget, you also get reduced damage taken. So they not only took those two things that we already have passive right now, they were in BFA right now, and they took them and then decided to make them auras, and then on top of that they nerfed Retribution Aura to make it so that you don't get damage taken reduced at all.
So
and let's also keep in mind that it's just a greedy mechanic in general. You like Retribution Paladin should not fucking
should not profit off of the deaths of their comrades.
Exactly. They should want to prevent such a thing from happening. Okay? This is absolutely stupid. Get it out of the fucking game. It's unreal that they want to push this shit. I'm so pissed off about it. I've been stewing and sitting on it for weeks. I'm mad.
So what do you want them to do?
I get I don't know, dude. Just get rid of it, or repurpose it. Just do anything other than what they've already done. Like, if you want to make Retribution or a thing, okay, that's fine, but just change it. Now, I definitely don't agree with the Heart of the Crusader being an aura at all. I don't think that should be. I think that should just be a passive, like a thing Death Knights and Paladins have. I think that should stay a passive that we have.
Yeah, that's fine. Like on a pale horse, and whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It just
well, didn't
pissed me
Retribution
off.
Aura just make you deal reflect damage, or not reflect damage, but like thorns, basically?
Yeah.
That's how it used to be. Why don't they just take it back to that?
That they're not going to do that. Like they probably made Retribution Aura a thing because I don't know, they thought like Thorn's Paladin was a thing in D2, and then they tried to like carry it over or something. I don't know, but like it's completely stupid. Like just fucking do something different. And also, any devs listening, which you're probably not, also, hello, Guardian of Ancient Kings, hello, McFly, bring that fucking back. Let's go, dude.
I do think you should have the Guardian. The Guardian was really cool. And yeah, 100%. I don't know, man. Like,
anyway, yeah, Covenants are going to suck dick.
All right. Well, you know what? You know what else? Are you looking forward to being able to do shadow damage as a paladin?
No.
Well, you're going to be able to. Paladins will be able to do shadow damage. Are they really paladins then?
No.
I don't think so either. Fucking ridiculous. Shadow paladins. What is this, fucking Final Fantasy? The fuck out of here with that shadow paladins bullshit.
Right to be pessimistic about this system. So having said that, it's pretty obvious what the issue is. Players are going to be locked into the Covenant they choose. While I did say you can swap to a different one, the best ones are going to be difficult to get back to. This creates some obvious issues that we don't want players to make a bad choice. And this is something Blizzard has said many times, is they do not want you to do that. And they're hoping that the Soulbind system, the Conduit system, and the Crafted Legendary system on top of it provide enough of these tuning knobs in order to make it so you shouldn't feel like you had a bad choice. Is it working out that way? Well, now we move on to the not great part of this system.
Okay, yeah. All right, here we go.
At the moment, what we're noticing, though, is that this system seems at odds with Blizzard's vision of class design for Shadowlands. Shadowlands is moving way back into being class-centric rather than spec-centric. What does that mean? Ideally, a person who goes to their character creation screen,
that's good. That's great.
Character should
I'm
be
very
able to
happy
choose
about that.
something like a mage, and let's say they want
it's
to
gonna
play
be amazing.
a frost mage. Their experience with that should carry over should they ever need to switch to fire or arcane. They chose a mage after all. They didn't choose a frost mage.
Right.
They didn't choose a fire
Which
mage.
makes sense.
Right now, though, it's basically as if you're getting 3 classes instead of 1 class with 3 different specs. Blizzard wants to rein that back in.
What?
We've seen the Unpruning, which has put many class-wide spells back into the toolkit of all the specs, and that is something that is a noble goal. It really is.
I like that.
The not great part about this is Blizzard does tend to go all in when they decide on a theme.
Yeah.
If they're going to make something class-centric, then they go fully class-centric, and there's no nuance to how this works. The problem is, some specs still work fundamentally different from its brothers within the class. If we look at something like a Shaman, Resto is a caster healer. If we look at Elemental, it is a caster DPS.
Yes.
There's some very, very obvious crossover between how those work. However, Enhancement is melee-centric, which doesn't really work with those 2 elements.
Okay.
A similar situation can be found with the Druids. They have melee DPS, ranged caster DPS, healers, and a tank, all 4 completely separate roles, all bundled into this one class. Why is this a problem then, you might ask?
Okay,
well, when
why?
designing a class ability that has to be class-centric, that means it has to work for everything that class can do. The more spread and the thinner that the options are, the more watered down the Covenant ability has to be. At worst, it's exceedingly boring and basically may not exist.
That is kind of true.
And at best, it kind of works very well for some specs, but probably doesn't work too well for other specs.
I feel like that's okay, though. Like, if you have some specs that are really, really strong with, like, one Covenant ability and others that aren't, like, I don't think that's really all that bad. It's the same as you used to have Dwarf Priests in Classic. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, that's the way the game's always been. What the fuck, no? Then isn't a choice then? Well, what I'm saying is, like, it's not going to be a choice no matter what. Like, this is not a choice to begin with. If you have the wrong Covenant and you're doing less damage than somebody else and you get replaced by that other person who's doing more damage than you because they have the stronger Covenant, then was it really ever a choice to begin with? No, it wasn't. You just have to pick the best one. That's why in Classic WoW, people have very, very defined ways of playing the game, and if you play outside of those defined ways, you're seen as an idiot, and many people don't take you to the raid. So the idea, and even that's with Classic raids where everything's super easy and it doesn't matter to begin with. So if you want to talk about retail where things are actually more challenging and there's more mechanics, then you're going to have that be the case even more. So the idea that this isn't going to happen is fucking naive. And on top of that, it's something that's got to be it's going to be happening more and more to certain classes because they're the ones that are going to have like the larger discrepancies. And then I'm just talking about PvE. I'm not even talking about PvP, which, by the way, how the fuck are these systems and these abilities supposed to work in PvP? Like, for example, you have one thing that puts an AoE on the ground and then another one that does a movement ability. How the fuck do you balance those two things in PvP? One of them is clearly better than the other, and what do? I have no fucking idea. You know what I think's gonna happen? It's gonna be fucked. That's what I think's gonna happen. This is incredible.
A little bit of a problem when you're
just turn them off for PvP. That's right. So instead of actually balancing the game and making the game good, why don't we just turn them off for PvP, PvE and raiding, Mythic Plus, and then all forms of competitive content. So they're just world buff abilities, just like the ones that we got in Warlords of Draenor. You guys remember how fun it was to call down a cannonball barrage in Talador? Wow, that was awesome. And then as soon as you leave the zone, it doesn't matter. If they make them zone-specific abilities, I figure they might as well not even do them to begin with. Who cares if they make them zone-specific abilities? I'm just so... I'm honestly amazed that they think that they can pull this off.
Allowed to change your covenant backwards and forwards. Priests are one of the most interesting classes to look at here because discipline really screws with priest. We have 2 healing specs unlike any other class in the game, and we also have this range DPS spec. But one of those healing specs takes advantage of damaging as well as healing.
Oh, disc.
So it's pulling from the best of both worlds with a lot of its abilities. That means that Holy Priests kind of look at Dis Priest a little bit jealously, and also there's jealousy coming from its Shadow Brothers, as Dis generally gets the benefit of both of them all rolled into itself. This is clearly something that is a problem, as Dis is just more and more focused on gaining all these benefits. Shamans, on the other hand, fall into this second category, where they have some Covenant abilities that are great for 1 or 2 of their specs, but not too great at all for one of their others. Let's look at Primordial Wave, one of the Necrolord abilities for the Shaman. What does it allow you to do? Well, you fire off this big Necrolord graphic spell, it'll apply Flame Shock to something,
that's cool.
And then it will remember which target you shot it at, and when you shoot a spell at a different target, it will then, similar to a Warlock's Havoc, copy that spell to one of those targets.
Wow.
That is really, really cool.
That is
if
cool.
we look from an elemental point of view,
that's
I
awesome.
can fire a Primordial Wave at a target, it's going to get Flame Shock, and then I can Lava Burst a different target, and I'm going to shoot 2 Lava Bursts, which are affected by my mastery, into the other target. That is fantastic fun. Works well for restoration as well. However, Enhancement doesn't carry those kinds of abilities, or doesn't benefit from them in that way.
You have
we don't
Cleave,
have a big
I
heavy
guess.
hitting spell like Lava Burst.
That's badass.
So in order to wedge it into the Shaman, they've had to give it the same effect, but for Lightning Bolt. Well, that's a far less desirable ability to carry as an Enhancement Shaman. Now, if you only ever play Elemental, you're probably fine. But there are many, many players out there who like to do, say, Enhancement in raids, Elemental in dungeons, vice versa. I like to PvP that way.
And you're stuck with one of them.
And those are the guys who are definitely affected by this idea that there is no bad choice. Because there clearly is with the way it stands.
I feel like this is exactly what happened with Legendaries and Legion and Azerite gear, where every single person who's making YouTube content and videos about it is screaming at the fucking top of the mountains, hey, this isn't gonna work, this is gonna be fucked up, this is messed up, this isn't gonna work, these are the problems with it. And Blizzard is who fucking asked? Not Blizzard. They didn't ask. Specifically, they're like, we don't want to hear about it. This is our vision, and we're going to do it the way that we want. And it's yeah, you can do that, but it's fucking ridiculous. Yeah, Blizzard certainly didn't ask. That's the worst part about it. I can't fucking believe it, man. And I don't know really what to do about this, but ultimately, I think this is kind of the same situation that happened whenever we had Legendaries, and then also after that we had the fucking the Azerite gear. Is that Blizzard has this vision of how the game's going to turn out, and then the players, everybody knows what it's going to be. It's just not shared by the player base.
So what solution is there for players like that? Well, the likelihood is that there are definitely going to be some players out there.
Yeah, you still play the game
because
I'm fucking addicted.
Not going to pick up.
I don't want to play anything else. I just want to play
Instead,
WoW.
They might pick up an ability which is mediocre for all of their specs, and they are feeling punished. They're feeling pushed away because, frankly, they enjoy all of the specs of their class, and that's not something that should happen, but it is definitely something that we are seeing happen. So those are some of the examples of what we're seeing with the Covenant class abilities. Some classes work really well. Warriors, for example, nearly all of their Covenant class abilities are great. And that's
because Warriors are a good class, and they can do anything they want. That's why Warriors are good. But a Shaman, and no memes, right? No memes. Here's why they're better. Here's why. It's because Warriors do the same thing. Every Warrior ability is melee range. You attack from melee with Fury, Prot, and Arms. You're dealing physical damage with Fury, Prot, and Arms. you're basically, your goal is pretty much the same. Like tanking, like, oh, don't die. That's easy, right? Like the majority, like the meta for tanking is basically how much damage can you do. So it's basically Fury, how much damage can you do? Arms, how much damage can you do? Tanking, how much damage can you do while you're not dying? So they all basically have the same goals. It's the same as hunters, I'm assuming. Well, hunters have ranged in melee, so that could be a problem. But like with mages, for example, I think the mage abilities will probably be pretty balanced too. I would assume. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I would assume that they'll be balanced for each of the specs.
Because their class and all 3 specs under it kind of work very similarly.
Same
They're
with
all
rogue,
melee,
yeah.
And they do have a damage focus in some areas. Clearly, we're still seeing some evidence where the class ability does not favor protection because they want to use their rage defensively.
Yeah.
But it is something that is less of an issue for those guys. But talking of that, we do need to address a big elephant in the room that has become more and more of a concern as Shadowlands has gone on. And it's not something that's really popping up on most people's radars, and with good reason. Most people are very, very interested in what their class is getting.
Exactly.
Their class role. But that's not all you get when you assign yourself to a Covenant. In fact, you get 2 abilities. One of them is the class role. That's what most people are interested in. The other one is the class signature ability. And this is something that everybody who chooses that Covenant gets. It doesn't
so it doesn't, yeah, he'll explain
it. If you're a druid, a mage, or whatever, if you choose Necrolord, you get this ability.
Yes.
Mainly it would be Fleshcraft, which builds a giant shield around you. If you go, say, Night Fae, then everybody who chooses Night Fae will have the ability to turn into a Vulpin and then gain 3 blinks and a big movement speed increase. Unfortunately, for those of you thinking of going Kyrian, you will get Owlbro, which is all very well and good, but the bonus he's providing you is a speed health potion.
This guy is so stupid. You realize that these are slaves, right? The owls are slaves to the Kyrians? Tyson told me about this. Think about it. What do the owls do? They serve food, and they do all the stuff the Kyrians don't want to do. Do they get paid? No. The owls are slaves. It is what it is.
And now we start to see the crux of
the
this
steward
issue,
is so fucking stupid.
Most of our conversations within the team and with people who are relatively high-end players in World of Warcraft and the extreme high-end have revolved actually about the Covenant signature abilities, not the class abilities. That's something that can be addressed. A lot of people seem to think it's damage-centric. That's probably the easiest thing for Blizzard to fix when it comes to the class Covenant abilities.
Utility matters a lot in PvP, though.
It's the utility that's a problem, and that's exactly the massive problem that we're seeing with these signature abilities. We need to talk a little bit about Venthyr Teleport, or Door of Shadows as it's called. Door of Shadows allows you to literally teleport to a location which is pretty far away.
Okay, so you've got this amazing ability that allows you to teleport wherever you want in an arena, or in an area, right? Arena, wherever. And so you have Reaper Teleport, basically, and by basically I mean exactly. And then you have the Kyrian guy. Hey, you want one? No? Okay, alright, fine. Like, that's what it is, man. Like, there's no way that you can balance those 2 things together. There's no way. Like, one of them is just like a health potion or a teleport. One of them's just gonna be better. In like most situations. Who the fuck's gonna go for a health potion whenever you can have a Reaper fucking teleport?
It can cross gaps, it can bypass enemies, it can also move through any sort of dangers that may be present to you, including boss mechanics. It's incredibly powerful.
Look at that, dude.
We compare that to something like a Necro
Holy
Shield,
shit.
which sounds good on paper, but the reality of the situation is comparatively, it's not really going to work. And universally, and I mean this, universally, everybody we spoke to who has any inkling of this situation honestly believes that if you do not choose Venthyr, then you're actually just trolling. And I don't mean that to sound as dramatic as it sounds. It's simply just so powerful. And the likelihood is it probably needs a nerf. I'm okay with that because it really doesn't help this scenario right now.
I think it's cool. I don't want it to be nerfed. I just want it to be a choice. Because there will be times where you want to use the potion every once in a while, right? If you're like soloing something or trying to survive or whatever. And what they need to do is just make the cast longer. Like that's I think probably the smartest thing to do. Don't nerf buff the others. Take the Diablo 3 approach. I don't think that's a good idea.
I spent a few minutes talking about class abilities and choosing between Necrolord and Night Fae and things like that.
Teleport out of combat only, maybe.
So much stronger than any of those things. Let's talk about why. In our interview with Morgan, we did ask about this. We brought it up. And their solution, as Blizzard sees it, is to, again, create no wrong answer. Well, let's theorycraft that a little bit. And again, I put down to you, Blizzard might be aware of this and they might have a solution coming. Good, if that's the case. I am fine with being completely wrong. That's good. Let's get this.
Oh, God, dude. You just play the game the way you want to play the game and have a little bit of fun. And you can never do anything wrong. It's like these are the same people that told us that Warfronts were going to be exciting and riveting content. These are the same people that told us that the legendaries in Legion were going to be balanced. These are the same people that told you that you were going to be excited and it was going to be cool to see the way that you would obtain your Pantheon trinkets in Argus. These are the same people that told us that Azerite gear wasn't just going to be purely RNG. Like, these are the same people, man. Maybe there's 3 teams, guys. There's like the team that made BFA, there's the Classic team, and there's the Shadowlands team. And they all work completely independently. And this time around, all of the people that make the bad decisions aren't going to be on the team. And all of the people that make the good decisions are. So everything's maybe 4 teams? Wait, what the fuck, dude? Maybe there are 4 teams. Holy shit, how many teams are there?
Out there, though. Let's think about it for a second.
Yeah.
The Kyrian potion that gives you some movement speed.
Okay.
That's out. It's completely useless in comparison to the rest.
Yeah.
The Night Fae movement speed increase, it's pretty good. What about the Necrolord ability? So what Blizzard suggested is that they need to create the right puzzles and variety of puzzles so that ideally this should be the case.
Yeah.
On some fights, having the Venthyr teleport or the ability to move faster as a Night Fae is an advantage. Unquestionably good stuff. However, the next few bosses, being a Necrolord should be the advantage. And therefore, the Necrolords don't look at those guys doing those abilities and go, I should have been Venthyr, I should have been Night Fae. Because then the other guys should be thinking the same. Oh, I wish I was Necrolord here, right? That would have been really good. The problem is that is great in theory. In practicality, I foresee no scenario where that will ever be the case. And I'll explain why. If we look at it from a rating point of view, which of course I'm going to do, that's my focus on the game. If I look at it from a rating point of view, there's no possible way you can design a fight that is designed around a Necrolord shield keeping you alive or being that important. Because you have to design the fight around the idea that people in the raid won't have it. Therefore, you can't design around people needing that level of defense.
He's completely right. I mean, he's completely right. Like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to replay this last, like, 10 seconds because I want you guys to listen to it again, okay?
No possible way you can design a fight that is designed around a Necrolord shield keeping you alive or being that important. Because you have to design the fight around the idea that people in the raid won't have it.
Yep.
Therefore, you can't design around people needing that level of defense. It just doesn't work that way.
Yep.
Now, it should make sense, right? You can generate almost a second health bar with the Necrolord ability. And again, that sounds awesome. But in reality, you can't create fights where people have that. Because some people won't. And
exactly. No wrong choices.
The same cannot be said for movement speed. Movement speed is universally good in all scenarios.
Yep.
It's even better when the fights cannot be designed around everybody having it. And I know.
Yep.
Think of it this way. How many of you have looked at a demon hunter or a warrior leaping over something while you've been trapped, or the fact that people have just bypassed entire problems and puzzles simply because they had either great mobility and great movement speed? I imagine.
That's so fucking funny. Yeah, it's like the same as here's an example. The little puzzle thing, the conveyor belt on Mechagon. So as a warrior or a demon hunter, you just and like with the Reaper thing, you just and that's it, right? But if you have the wrong one, if you have the Night Fae one, you've got to turn into a fucking fox and walk over there. Is the shield going to help you? Yeah, maybe it'll help you not get hit by the fire as much. Yeah, does that make you feel good? No, it doesn't. Like, yeah, he's totally right about this. Because they can't design for people to have the shield. So you have to design for them not having the shield. And the movement ability is always going to give you more utility, whereas the shield only prevents a death, and you can't actually have it prevent a death, or then it would be OP and everybody would have to be forced to have it.
It's near enough every single one of you has looked at those classes and thought, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Fuck yeah.
And this is the scenario we're running into, because once again, Blizzard can't design the fights around everybody having the Venthyr ability or the Night Fae ability. They can't do it because not everybody will. So if it's mandatory, it doesn't work. What this means is these abilities get that much better. Movement speed is always good. It's always a DPS increase. It's always a defensive increase. It's just always good.
It's
you
just good.
combine that with the ability to bypass entire mechanics, reach places no one else can do in Mythic Plus, do skips no one else can do in Mythic Plus, be able to get to ridiculous areas very quickly in the arena. All these elements combine in order to make these abilities incredibly powerful, to the point where it makes no sense to choose anything else. Even if your, say, Venthyr ability isn't particularly good for your class, it's a few % behind or whatever, even when done with the perfect soulbinds and perfect conduits, there's no getting around the sheer power that is coming from being able to simply bypass.
You just teleport,
and
then, like, imagine if they make the teleport to where you can't use it in combat. Well, then who would ever want to have that in raiding? It would just be completely worthless in raiding. Nobody would ever want to have the teleport if they were a raider. So it's just like, man, and for PvP, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just fucking ridiculous to me. LFM must have skip and teleport for skipping trash. So you think that skipping certain trash packs is going to be viewed as a viable alternative to having an on-demand shield that makes you take less damage during the boss fight? Yeah, okay, dude. Okay, dude. This is just, oh my god, man. And pugs just clear trash. Like, there are very few pugs that actually skip a ton of trash because there's always somebody that does it wrong. And speed runs, yeah, I'm sure speed runs are really going to matter a whole lot. You know, with all the guilds that are speed running, that must be super exciting.
Blizzard really, really needs to look at. And it's also something that I don't think can be fixed with soulbinds and conduits.
No.
It just doesn't seem to work out that way. We seem to come back to the same issue, is giving the players choice. One of my greatest fears is Blizzard thinks, okay, we have to try and use the soulbind system and the conduit system in order to wedge all the abilities together.
Yeah.
That feels like a disastrous waste of those systems that aren't focused on player fun. Needing two systems in order to correct one system from the launch of the game is not a great idea.
Like Titan Residum and a corruption vendor? Yeah, that's... Oh, no. Oh, my fucking God. I don't even know what to say, man. I don't even know what to say. This is so... Oh, jeez. Why are they so set on this, man? Like, I don't fucking get it.
I think Blizzard really needs to think about either adding these options to the other classes, severely balancing them, or doing something different with the Covenant signature abilities.
Yes!
And I know people will hate me. It's like, why would you offer, Mike, to take away something like teleport? And I know the pruner thing is out.
It's OP!
I know how strong this is.
Yeah.
I've used it many, many times. It is incredibly strong, and the possibilities of using this thing are really, really out of place. And it's something that is going to do exactly what I do not want to happen with the Covenant system, and that is push people into one because of how useful the ability is. Especially since Blizzard seemingly already has the solution in the game, the soulbinds. The soulbinds are something we can freely swap between. One thing people aren't asking for the most part, is the ability to swap Covenants easily. That might seem counterintuitive. Isn't that exactly what you're asking for? No, it's not. I love the idea of committing your character to a covenant, and I do believe it has endless, massive RPG potential.
Okay.
Because one thing a lot of people have spoken about with covenant abilities and signature abilities is their thematic and RPG immersion factor. That's really not true. The fact of the matter is, there are some poster boys that people hang up and say, look, that is very thematic. So that would be things like Night Fae Monk, the Spear of Bastion for warriors, Boon of the Ascended for the priests. Those fit the theme very well. Most of them are just a color. That's it.
Yeah, some are pretty fucking boring. That's definitely true. I'll be right back. I need to take a piss. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm back.
Most of them are just a color, and I mean the vast majority of them are just a color. Some of them are green,
how exciting.
which means Necrolord. Some of them are red, which means Venthia.
Incredible.
That's it. We're not talking about something that fully immerses you into the character and the Covenant. Now, I agree, the signature abilities are a little bit more difficult than that, but we've covered why exactly they're a problem. But moving these things into the Soulbinds makes a lot more sense and frees up Blizzard not to utilize those two resources in order to try and make the rest of it work. My biggest fear is that most of the players who enjoy their character's power, which is very normal for an RPG, and again, I find it very strange how many people seem to think it's poisonous to want your RPG character to be the strongest it can be.
Yeah, this is what people fucking think. They think, oh wow, it's so toxic, it's so bad, that, you know, people want to make sure their character is as good as possible. Everybody wants their character to be powerful. Like, that's obviously the goal. Like, yes, you have some RPers that don't give a shit, but for the most part, yes, that's going to be a goal of people to make their character more powerful in an RPG. Duh.
That feels very odd to me. It's a very weird mindset that's flying around.
I did say
right
it.
now.
Yeah, you're right.
Yet, we have a Covenant system, which has endless RPG possibilities and immersion. The stories to be told, the wars between players that can be generated, and the cross-faction abilities that can happen with the Covenants are endless. Blizzard can craft such an amazing story with the Covenant abilities, with the Covenants themselves and the players within them, that it seems totally unnecessary to try and shoehorn this in and make it like, we need to do this.
Yeah.
Because they've never done it in World of Warcraft before. In a recent interview with Ted, Ian said, if we get to the point where we can't tie player power to an important choice, then we're truly lost. And they have never, ever done that in World of Warcraft. Not.
Yeah, it's a complete fucking non sequitur. Like, it's a red herring that they're just going after for no fucking reason. There's no reason that this should be a goal. And I think the Blizzard developers sat in there with a big, in a big fucking round table, and they convinced themselves that this is something the game needs. I think that's genuinely what fucking happened, is they sat around and they convinced themselves that this is necessary whenever it's fucking not.
A single time. And that's what's strange, that not only is this idea that we can't go past this line has been generated, yeah, it's been a line that's drawn in the sand that we cannot cross, because they never had that line in the first place. It does feel a little bit like creating a problem and then being stubborn about overcoming a problem that was never a problem to begin with. You might see a theme here with some of the things we've talked about recently in regards to Torghast.
Yeah.
This was never a thing in World of Warcraft, so why it has to be now is strange to me.
Like, it's necessary.
Wonderful. And I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. The wonderful, wonderful possibilities, the infinite possibilities of stories to be told with the Covenants themselves that don't have to affect player power. Certainly not to the degree that we're seeing right now. I close on this saying, I know Blizzard wants to look at this. I think it's worthwhile. I think it should be said. I also think that the solutions are already in game to have this not be a problem.
It's theoretically broken.
And allow
you don't need
players to
a
just be
play
free to do what
test.
they want, and to have a better experience without having to waste time and resources trying to fix this. And I certainly hope that if some of this stuff does turn out to be a problem, we're usually not wrong on this stuff.
Yeah.
That it isn't going to take 2 months before the Shadowlands comes out and we have this full picture, that then we start saying, actually, there's some issues.
Hey, yeah, exactly.
That's the whole purpose we made this. Thank you so much for listening. Look forward to seeing some more. And tune in for Covenant Wars, because some of the Covenant abilities are really, really cool. Bye-bye.
Okay. Ian said if it fails, they'll just let us change them. I guess so. I mean, like, I don't know, guys. Like, the number one thing that worries me about the system is the game will come out and 2 months into it, they'll put the most popular choice instead of fixing the other ones. Well, here's the thing, right, is that our solution is to create a no wrong answer. That's a goal, not a solution. Sounds like a politician's answer to how they would solve a problem. Please, Blizzard, listen to this. Keep it simple, stupid. I love the idea of covenants in a single-player game. It would be a great way to let everyone play the way they want. In an MMO, in its current form, I feel like the goals of the system collide with the restrictions put on it. It's too complex and too tied with player power and utility to be an effective, meaningful choice that the game puts a social and systematic pressures on players to conform to certain standards. And that's just the way the game is, man. That's just the way the fucking game is. How do you feel like the same ability for DPS as for tank? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of problematic too. Blizzard logic. Over the years, we feel like we've removed too much of the RPG element of an MMORPG-like game, so instead of bringing them back, we are now going to add a really convoluted system that is impossible to balance and won't make anyone happy, which are also balanced by 4 other systems. I really feel like this video was necessary. I really do. I think this is a completely necessary video, and it's good that Preach is actually talking about this.